Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the epic story of two technologies that are, well, pretty much shaping our entire future: AI and crypto. One is this titan of centralized intelligence, the other is a decentralized force of trust. So, where do they connect?
Okay, so let's frame our two main characters here. On one side, you've got AI, this powerful, centralized brain. I mean, it offers just incredible scale, but all that power is concentrated, and that often brings up some pretty serious questions about our privacy. And then on the other side, you have crypto, a distributed network that's built on transparency. It kind of trades some of that raw computing power for a totally different kind of strength, giving control back to you, the user.
And make no mistake, these titans are already absolutely massive. The investment world is betting big, and I mean big, on AI. It's now commanding nearly half of all new venture capital. That is a staggering amount of cash flowing into just one sector.
At the same time, the so-called crypto winter, yeah, that seems to be completely over. The total value of the crypto market has just soared into the trillions. It's become a major force in modern finance, and this time, it's being driven by some really serious institutional investment.
So, with these two giants taking up so much space, are they just destined to clash? Well, not necessarily. Actually, they might just be the solution to each other's biggest problems, forming this really unexpected partnership. Let's dig into how. You see, AI has this fundamental trust issue. People in the industry call it the black box problem. And what that means is that a lot of these advanced AI models are so ridiculously complex that even the people who created them can't fully explain the logic behind their decisions. And that opacity, it raises huge ethical questions and makes it really, really hard to just trust what comes out of it. Now, this is where blockchain can step in and directly tackle that trust problem. For starters, it can create a tamper-proof record of the data an AI was trained on so we know exactly where it came from. Second, it gives users real ownership over their data, letting them securely grant or deny access. And third, it can manage our consent by recording permission on a ledger that can't be changed. Basically, it makes AI something we can actually audit. But look, this alliance is not a one-way street. AI can also make blockchain networks a whole lot smarter and more secure. You could have an AI, for example, that monitors network activity to predict and stop fraud before it even happens. Or it could help optimize the massive energy consumption of some of these blockchains. It creates this really powerful feedback loop. But this alliance, it has a flip side. As both of these technologies get bigger and bigger, they find themselves in this fierce competition for the three things that fuel the entire digital world: capital, talent, and energy. So first, let's talk about the battle for capital. And honestly, right now, it's not much of a battle. AI's dominance is just overwhelming. It's pulling in almost half of all VC dollars, leaving every other sector, including crypto, to fight over the scraps.
Then you've got the race for talent. And while, yeah, both fields offer great careers, the salary data shows a really clear edge for AI. A senior AI developer can pull in a salary up to $300,000. That's significantly more than a senior role in blockchain. And that difference, well, it has a huge impact on where the top minds decide to go to work.
And finally, there's the race for pure power. The computational demands of AI are just staggering. Projections are showing that by the end of this year, AI's appetite for energy is going to be more than double that of the entire Bitcoin network. That is creating enormous pressure on our global energy grids. Now, this convergence isn't just happening in cyberspace or on corporate balance sheets. No, it is forcing an urgent, massive debate in capitals all around the world about who gets to write the rules for our digital future. The regulatory landscape for AI is shifting incredibly fast. I mean, just in the last few months, we have seen major new rules on everything from data transfers to AI chips, plus a really significant executive order that signals a pro-industry shift from the new administration. The ground is just constantly moving under everyone's feet. And this flurry of activity has kicked off a pretty fundamental disagreement over who should even be in charge. On one side, you have industry groups like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and they're pushing for a single national framework to keep things consistent. But on the other side, you have this big coalition of state attorneys general arguing that states are the laboratories of democracy, and they're the ones best positioned to respond quickly when things go wrong locally. And the new leadership in Washington has made its stance pretty clear. The incoming head of the FTC, Andrew Ferguson, is promising to focus on what he calls big tech's vendetta against competition and free speech.
So what this suggests is that while some regulations might get easier, the bigger fight over the power of these huge tech companies is far from over.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. With this crazy mix of cooperation, competition, and all this regulatory uncertainty, what does the road ahead actually look like for these two titans? When you boil it all down, these two forces aren't just rivals, and they aren't just partners. They are locked in what you could call a symbiotic rivalry. They push and pull on each other, competing for resources while, at the very same time, creating new possibilities that neither one could ever achieve alone. And that dynamic right there is set to define the entire tech landscape for the next decade. So the question we'll leave you with is this: are we witnessing the co-creation of a new, balanced digital world, one where decentralized trust actually holds centralized intelligence accountable? Or are we just watching a collision course where one titan's dominance will ultimately define our future? Only time is going to tell.